Hi there, this is Nadia and welcome to my rabbit dissection. So first and foremost, we have to skin the rabbit. This is a very important step and it also happens to be our first step. It can be a bit of a tedious process, but it allows for really good practices in dexterity and gets you to look at the different parts of the body. Additionally, as we're going through here, you can start to notice the fascia, which is that white connective tissue you're seeing on this close-up. This attaches the skin to the muscle. There are also layers of fascia between different body cavities. Now that we've finished skinning, I can go into the abdominal cavity. First, I happen to find the bladder, which is cool, and you can get a really great look at it here with the ureter attached. My next step is to try to remove the liver. Unfortunately, my technique for removing the liver is not ideal. However, I wanted to be sure to preserve the diaphragm very well, so I didn't want to use too many tools while that close to the diaphragm, so instead I tried to manipulate it and meticulate it with my hands. With it removed, we're able to see the different lobes of the liver, and you can also see the gallbladder. However, it is hard to get a good look at it through this angle. As we take a closer look at the stomach, we can see how it attaches to the esophagus, as shown in this clip here. Additionally, we can see that it attaches to the rest of the intestines through another sphincter. Additionally, I was able to find the splenic artery attached to the stomach and the spleen, as well as seeing the esophagus and the stomach's attachment to the small intestine. The next step is to attempt to conquer the intestines. So the rabbit intestines are different than ours in their large intestine. It is not the traditional shape we often see where it goes ascending, transcending, descending. It's rather pretty centralized in the abdomen. Right now, I'm removing all of the small intestine, and as you may notice, there is a lot of it. It's very long, and it's also very fragile. Now that I have the small intestine removed, I can start combating the large intestine, which in the rabbits is pretty unique. It doesn't have a linear path like ours does. It has many dead ends within it. One which leads to the appendix. So with this, I was then able to find the end of the colon, as you may have seen just there, and additionally the appendix, which is that nice little bit at the end of that segment there. While working through the different pieces and remaining bits of the abdomen, I was able to come across on the kidneys, which in the rabbit are not level or in the equal distance across from each other. One is higher than the other. So as I worked on removing them, I was able to get a very good view on the vena cava, which is that big blue line going down. And now I'm going to go work on the thoracic cavity. This cavity is a lot more difficult to get into because of the ribs. I ended up needing to use bone cutters, and I had to take a few different routes, once again to avoid damaging the diaphragm, which is that big muscle you see separating the abdomen from the thoracic cavity. Now that I have it opened up, I can get a good view of the lungs and heart. So once again, I'm being very careful, similarly to the liver, but this time because the heart and lungs are very friable, and I don't want to damage them before I can get a good view of them, so I'm just making sure I'm opening my field as much as possible before attempting to remove them. So you can see close up, the lungs are currently staying in due to the trachea, which we have a hard time getting a really great view of it, but we know that it's no longer movable because of that. Additionally, you can see some blood vessels. As I intended, I have a good view of the diaphragm. So what I'm going to show you here is the esophagus actually traveling through the diaphragm, as well as the vena cava. With the lungs removed, you can see the two lobes and the heart. And now that I have conquered the abdominal and the thoracic cavities, I felt why not go for the cranial as well. So I'm going to work on skinning the rabbit's head. Skinning it, I noticed that the eye was in a very good spot for me to try and resect. So rather than trying to conquer the brain, which I later found out was very degraded through all the time this rabbit has been in this solution, I rather conquered the eye and removed it. As it may be expected, The eye is fairly difficult to remove due to its very protective location, so I ended up having to use bone cutters to try and expand the surrounding area from it, and then eventually try and just manage to cut it out. With the eye now successfully removed, I now conclude my dissection, and I thank you for watching.